Have you ever thought about who is the most unpleasant character in Harry Potter? What if it's not Voldemort, but someone even more disturbing? In today's video, you'll find out why Dolores Umbridge became so cruel and what happened to her after the war. For many fans, Umbridge was the true villain of the series. Unlike Voldemort, who openly embraced his evil nature, she hid behind a mask of politeness and authority. Every act of cruelty she committed was perfectly legal. She never broke the rules, she created them. But why was she like this? What shaped her into the monster that tormented Hogwarts students? Before stepping into the castle, Dolores Umbridge had already built a career in the Ministry of Magic. Born a half-blood, she despised her own background. Her father was a lowly janitor in the ministry, and her mother was a muggle. When her brother was born a squib, Umbridge sided with her father, blaming her mother for tainting their bloodline. At 15, she cut ties with them completely, staying with her father, but even he wasn't good enough for her. As soon as she climbed the ranks in the ministry, she forced him into early retirement, ashamed of his humble position. Her career skyrocketed not because of talent, but because of cunning. She knew how to manipulate those in power, flattering superiors and crushing anyone below her. But despite her ambition, she never married. She longed for a pure-blood husband, but her disturbing personality drove everyone away. When Cornelius Fudge feared that Dumbledore was plotting against him, he sent Umbridge to Hogwarts to keep the headmaster in check. First, she banned practical lessons in defense against the dark arts. Then, she was promoted to High Inquisitor, imposing strict and absurd rules on students and teachers alike. Soon she ruled the school with an iron fist. She outlawed student gatherings, censored mail, and even resorted to using a blood quill on Harry Potter. Her darkest moment came when she threatened to use the Cruciatus curse on Harry. But before she could, he and Hermione lured her into the Forbidden Forest, where she faced the wrath of centaurs, creatures she had long mistreated. Only Dumbledore managed to save her. After returning to the ministry, she quickly adapted to Voldemort's new regime. She ran the Muggle-born Registration Commission, sending innocent people to Azkaban. She even carried Slytherin's locket, pretending it was a family heirloom to hide her half-blood status. When the Dark Lord fell, she wasn't spared. Arrested for her crimes, she was sent to Azkaban, where she likely met her end. But what made her so cruel? Her cold upbringing, her obsession with power? Or was she simply born that way? Even J.K. Rowling admitted that Umbridge was as evil as Bellatrix Lestrange. And after everything she did, it's hard to disagree. The fall of Dolores Umbridge exposed the rot within the Ministry of Magic. But she was not the only one who thrived under the shield of the law. Many others used their positions to manipulate, oppress, and secure power for themselves. The ministry, long believed to be a pillar of justice, had always harbored figures who worked in the shadows. Some names were well known. Others never faced the consequences of their actions. Barty Crouch Sr. was a man of order, a respected official, a strict enforcer of justice. Yet he was also a man willing to sacrifice anything, including his own son, to maintain control. During the First Wizarding War, he authorized the use of the unforgivable curses by auras. The days of justice are past. The only way to fight evil is with evil, he declared. His desire to eliminate dark wizards blinded him to his own cruelty. When his own son, Barty Crouch Jr., was convicted of being a Death Eater, Crouch Sr. sent him to Azkaban without hesitation, but he later arranged a secret escape, replacing him with his dying wife. He lived with this secret until his son murdered him years later. Cornelius Fudge was no Death Eater, but he was no hero either. His cowardice enabled Voldemort's return. For years, he refused to believe the Dark Lord had risen again, dismissing evidence, silencing dissent. "He's not back," he insisted, desperate to maintain control. He spread lies about Harry Potter and Dumbledore, labeling them as traitors. His ministry launched a smear campaign, ensuring the prophet published only government-approved stories. While he did not wield a wand against his enemies, his policies allowed darkness to flourish. Pius Thicknesser was another pawn in the ministry's long history of corruption. Unlike Fudge, he did not act out of cowardice, but was fully under Voldemort's control. Cursed with the Imperious Curse, he became Minister of Magic, overseeing the most oppressive era in the ministry's history. Under his rule, the government actively hunted Muggle-borns, declared them criminals, and sent them to Azkaban. He was a puppet, but a dangerous one. New times called for new laws, he announced, enforcing Voldemort's reign with cold efficiency. Even after the war, not all traces of corruption disappeared. Many officials who had collaborated with the regime escaped punishment. Some claimed they were merely following orders. Others reinvented themselves, adapting to the new government. Kingsley Shacklebolt, as the new minister, worked to purge the ministry of its darkest elements. But bureaucracy is slow. Deep-seated corruption is hard to erase. Some whispers claimed that certain figures, never named, had simply switched allegiances, remaining in power under a new banner. Umbridge's downfall was a victory, but it was not the end. For years, the ministry had protected figures like her. Even in times of peace, power attracts those who seek to control, not serve. As long as there is authority, there will be those who abuse it. The question is, how many more remain undiscovered?